Whispers from Ward 7, The Night Shift. Disclaimer. This story is fictional. All names, characters, and events are imaginary, and any resemblance to real people or places is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised. The clock on the ward wall ticks softly, marking the beginning of the night duty. Ward 7 carried a reputation for cold spots and strange whispering voices. "Don't mind the stories, you'll get used to the power surges," said her partner. "I'll believe that when I stop hearing things," Liana replied, hiding her unease. The nurses began their routine checks, moving systematically down the quiet hallway. Suddenly, a monitor began beeping insistently from an empty room. Liana rushed over, noting the bed in the room appeared completely empty. "This room is unoccupied," she muttered, baffled by the active signal. Ava leaned closer, suggesting a technical fault like a loose sensor. The screen suddenly flashed a name neither nurse recognized: Ajeli, status critical. The unsettling name vanished as quickly as it had appeared on the display. Trying to remain grounded, the partners continued their rounds with quiet focus. They whispered about their upcoming weekend plans to maintain a sense of normalcy. The monotonous hum of the hospital lights was suddenly broken by a system malfunction. "Generator test?" Liana questioned the unexpected power dip. "No," Ava responded, recognizing the irregularity of the flicker. A loud crash echoed sharply from the direction of the supply storage room down the hall. Exchanging apprehensive glances, Ava secured a heavy-duty flashlight for investigation. Inside the storage room, a metal medical tray lay scattered across the dusty tiles. Nothing else was disturbed. Liana bent to pick it up and noticed a small, faint red handprint smeared on the cold tile floor. "Maybe it's a paint," she whispered. Ava shook her head. "There is no paint in the storage area," she said. They returned to their nurse's station, both pretending nothing had happened. Liana attempted to log the strange incident into the digital chart system. The system abruptly froze, the cursor blinking independently. The cursor began typing a chilling, unsolicited message. Alarmed, Ava reacted instantly, slamming the laptop shut with force. "We're tired, that's all this is. Power surges, glitches, you know how the hospital gets at night." Liana nodded, agreeing outwardly, but her eyes held lingering doubt. Walking back toward room 7, Liana noticed the air growing perceptibly colder around them. The familiar, harsh fluorescent lights began to buzz and flicker in a slow, rhythmic pattern. A soft, sorrowful melody started playing, the unmistakable lullaby from the now-closed children's ward. Liana stopped dead, demanding if Ava had initiated the forbidden music. Ava, gripping her flashlight tighter, confirmed the switch was located in another building. They followed the sound, which led them inexplicably to a solid wall at the corridor's dead end. The melody ceased abruptly as they reached the barrier. A faint, feminine whisper seemed to seep directly through the plaster. "Don't wake her, she's waiting." Then, a dull, heavy thud sounded twice from behind the wall, like muffled knocking. Trembling, Liana stepped backward, her voice barely audible. Ava swallowed hard, her previous rationalizations failing her now. "Storage," she whispered, but doubt was clear. The wall shuddered slightly again, followed by another distinct, slow knock from the unseen side. For the first time, Ava voiced the horrifying possibility she had always fought against. "Maybe the stories are true," she whispered into the oppressive silence. The night dragged on, filled with a heavy, cold silence that seemed to resonate beneath the skin. Nurse Liana couldn't shake the whispers. Every minute, she swore, she kept hearing a woman's voice calling faintly, "Find her, find her." Ava, maintaining control, urged them to finish rounds faster, as that would bring the morning faster. They checked the last patient, adjusted the IV drip, and headed back to the station. But as Liana reached for the cabinet to close it, her pen slipped from her grasp and rolled away. Kneeling to retrieve it, her fingers brushed against a thin, cold metal edge beneath the shelf. She pushed the shelf aside, revealing a narrow, previously unseen door panel hidden in the wall. It was marked in a faint red letters, "Restricted, authorized staff only." Ava's eyes widened in shock. Liana, driven by curiosity, ignored the warning and pulled the handle. Liana, heedless of the danger, whispered, "Just a quick look," and started down. Ava warned against proceeding, urging Liana to contact security first for proper authorization. But Liana's curiosity had taken hold of her. "Just a quick look," she whispered. They descended slowly, their flashlight beams cutting through thick, suspended clouds of dust and mold spores. The air grew colder and heavier, with the distinct, unpleasant smell of rust, disinfectant, and sweet decay. The narrow passage opened into a wide underground hall, lined with faded, towering storage cabinets. Medical charts laid scattering on the floor. A single, weak light flickered above a rusted steel door marked Section 7, Research and Preservation. Ava hesitated, whispering that this clandestine location felt profoundly wrong and dangerous. Liana ignored Ava's fear and shone her light through the slightly ajar steel door. She gasped loudly as the light revealed a basement laboratory filled with broken glass and exposed cables. The far wall showcased rows of tall, cylindrical glass chambers filled with murky green fluid. Suspended within the fluid in each chamber were human bodies. Men, women, and even children. Electrodes were attached to their skulls, their features emphasizing a death-like pallor. The display on one tank blinked faintly. Subject 11, status, incomplete neural response. Ava backed away, covering her mouth in horror, realizing these were not mere bodies. "Oh my God, they're not bodies, they're people," she managed to choke out. Liana, however, stepped closer, transfixed by a small boy floating near the glass. The young boy's small hand, pressed against the glass, twitched once, a slow, deliberate motion. Ava yanked Liana back sharply. "Did you see that movement?" she demanded. I think he moved," Liana whispered, her voice trembling uncontrollably. The light above them flickered violently, and the monitors beside the tanks suddenly blared to life, registering sudden, erratic heartbeats. The entire room filled with mechanical noise, the hiss of vents opening, and the deep thrum of revived machinery. Through the cacophony, a chorus of hundreds of overlapping whispers rose, mournful and resonant. "We are not gone, we are still here." Ava panicked, stumped backward. "We need to leave, now." They turned to run, but the heavy stairwell door slammed shut with a violent, final, metallic clang, locking them in. The general illumination of the lab switched from weak white to an eerie, sickly green hue. On the nearest wall, dark, wet letters began to drip and form. "He knows you're here," Liana gasped, trying to process the threat. "Who knows we're here?" A voice, calm, cold, and horribly familiar, answered from the corridor behind them. "I do," the voice stated, confirming their worst fears. Dr. Cyril Dake stood there, impeccably clean in his white coat, a slight, unnerving smile on his face. "Welcome to the truth, nurses," he said softly. "Now that you've seen it, you can never leave." For a long moment, neither Liana nor Ava spoke. The overwhelming sound of their own harsh breathing filled the room, broken only by the doctor's smooth voice. Ava managed to question Dr. Dake. "Dr. Dake, what is this place? What have you done here?" Dr. Dake explained that they had stumbled upon the buried history of the Revivify program. He claimed the research aimed to preserve consciousness beyond biological death, stating that science couldn't define the human echo. Liana glanced at the tanks, her stomach churning, accusing him. "You trapped them." As Ava whispered, "You killed them," Dake retorted. "No, I saved them from death." Dake activated a control panel, causing the temperature to plummet rapidly to 6 degrees Celsius. He declared they had seen too much and would now become part of the research subjects. Frost began creeping like spreading veins across the glass surfaces of the preservation chambers. Ava pounded desperately on the now freezing metal door, screaming for release. The suspended figures inside the tanks began to twitch, their eyelids fluttering open in the eerie green light. A chorus of whispers intensified, no longer mournful, but accusatory. He lied. Dake hissed in denial. No, not again. As the glass tanks began to shake violently, cracks spidered across the glass, releasing a pale blue, frigid mist into the air. Liana clutched her head, overwhelmed by the painful crescendo of voices filling her mind. One tank exploded with a deafening hiss, and a translucent, frost-dripping hand reached out from the shards. More pods shattered, releasing swirling figures of mist and light that converged on the panicked doctor. The combined voices echoed the final judgment. You took our breath, now we take yours. The temperature plunged below freezing. Dake's breath crystallized as he gasped in terror. Liana and Ava huddled together, barely conscious, as the spirits closed in on the doctor. The final thing they saw was image of Dr. Dake's terrified face as the spirits dragged him toward an empty, waiting chamber. The empty chamber's display flickered on, showing new subject added, Cyril Dake. Status, active. The machinery whined once, then abruptly fell silent, leaving only the stillness behind. When Liana gained consciousness, the chambers were empty. Ava lay beside her, shivering but alive. They saw a frozen red handprint on the glass. Ava whispered they needed to leave, only to find the stairwell door mysteriously standing wide open. Through the opening, the distant, unreal sound of the hospital's morning alarm could be faintly heard. The stairwell door opened just as the first light of dawn painted the hospital windows soft hues. Liana followed, clutching the railing, their hearts pounding as they faced the quiet, pristine ward. Ava questioned if the whole terrifying experience had just been an elaborate, shared hallucination. They reached the station and found the wall clock was still fixed at 2:15 a.m., untouched by the passage of time. Liana tried logging in. The screen glitched, displaying ALL subjects terminated, system reset in progress. She turned to Ava, her face pale. We need to report this. Ava nodded, but something behind made Liana to freeze. The corridor light flickered, and for an instant, a reflection flashed across the glass window, not theirs, but rows of chambers filled with green light. When Liana blinked, they were gone. They didn't wait for an explanation. They rushed out the ward, past the reception desk, and down the main corridor, until the hospital door opened to the early morning mist. Ava sank onto the nearest bench. Liana, we shouldn't tell anyone. They'll think we've lost it. But we can't just pretend nothing happened, Liana insisted. There were people down there, Ava. Children, patients, we saw them. Ava's lips trembled. Then where are they now? Liana opened her mouth to answer, but stopped. Through the hospital window behind Ava, she saw a white coat moving down the corridor. A familiar silhouette, Dr. Dake. He turned his head, meeting her gaze directly through the glass. He smiled. Liana's blood ran cold. Ava, he's alive. Ava looked back, but the corridor was empty. No one there. The morning sun broke through the clouds, blinding for a second, and in that flash of light everything disappeared. Liana jolted awake, heart pounding. She was in her apartment, drenched in sweat. The morning light streamed through her curtains. She took a deep breath and looked around her small apartment. Everything was normal. The faint smell of morning coffee drifting from a neighbor's flat. It was just a dream, she told herself. Her phone buzzed with a voice message. It was Ava's voice, cheerful and real. Morning, we've been assigned to Ward 7 tonight. Don't be late. Liana smiled weakly. I need to stop watching horror movies before bed, she muttered, tossing the phone onto the bed. The end. Thanks for watching.